Welcome back to another episode of STL Real Estate Roundtable. I'm your host, Jaden Barr, CEO and team leader of Keller Williams Realty Chesterfield. Today, I'm joined by some very special guests. Dalton and Melisa. Dalton and Melisa, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's dive right in. What got you each started in a career in real estate?
You want me
You
to
lead. Go ahead.
Ooh, so I have been in real estate almost 10 years. We had a family friend reach out to me. He had his own brokerage and I was at a company called Hub Group. I was just working in accounts and he reached out. He was like, "Hey, do you ever thought about real estate?" And I was like, "No, not once in my life." And he's like, "Well, come by, we'll chat." And I went over to him and his wife's house and we sat down and we talked for, I don't know, a couple hours. And he was like, "Go take the test and let's see what you got." And honestly, it was almost 10 years ago and I haven't looked back and it's been a whirlwind. So, yeah.
Absolutely. So I was in car sales for about 5.5 years and I liked it for the first 2 years. The last 3 years were a major drag. I switched after I got burnt out in car sales to doing like a door-to-door for a staffing company. So going business to business and trying to get them to utilize our staffing services. And I did that for about 6 to 8 months. And my wife at the time had an opportunity to come to St. Louis to work as a sales rep for an oil company. And I was like, I'm definitely not transferring to that company in St. Louis. I want to do something different. And so I started thinking about what I wanted to do in the next chapter. And I was like, we had just bought in a house and the real estate agent that helped us was really good. I thought, but there was some things I think I might have done a little bit differently. And I was like, you know what? Why don't I just get my license? I'll see what happens with it. And I can get another full-time job on the side if I need to. So fast forward like 6 months past that, we're boots on the ground in St. Louis, do my tests. 2 months later, I'm wheels up and never really looked back, to be honest.
That's awesome. So did you go full-time pretty much right away? Or?
Full-time right away. Yeah, I was very lucky and very blessed to be on the team that I was on straight out of the gate. They, gave me a lot of amazing leads, amazing opportunities, and really just projected my career.
I remember my first year, I made like $11,000.
Okay, so different story. Yeah.
No, I mean, I was also like full time, but it's hard. Like, it's really hard to start up like from nothing, and it's like, you just got to keep going. But it was very interesting. Thank God I'm still in it. But
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
A lot of ups and downs.
So yeah, it's always interesting to hear like how people got into real estate. Very rarely do you talk to someone who's like, "Yep, I knew from day one I wanted to be a real estate." It's like everybody has their own path to how they got started.
I don't think it ever crossed my mind like once, but it's like now I'm doing it. I don't know that I genuinely want to be doing anything else, it's but it's so interesting how that happens.
Yeah. How have each of you kind of seen previous work experiences translate to the real estate industry?
Well, you were in sales. I mean, but I don't really consider ourselves like salesmen. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think like I'm a salesman, but I don't know, maybe you're a negotiator.
Maybe a little bit on the negotiation side from the car business. I would say nothing from like the staffing world when I was doing business to business really translates in my opinion. I had just gotten my feet wet in that before we moved. But I would say maybe a little bit on the negotiation side. To her point that she just made, I would say that like the one thing I always tell people when I genuinely heartfelt mean it, when I do my buyer's consult, I'm like, the reason I love my job is because I don't sell you on anything. Like, I can't make you fall in love with the house. You tour it, you fall in love, and then I just get to guide you throughout the process. So I genuinely don't feel like I'm in sales. And I honestly, to a certain degree, we all have those days, right? But I genuinely don't feel like I work a day in my life. Yeah, I love it.
So how many years have each of you said 10?
Almost 10.
Yeah. Okay.
10.
And then
6.5, somewhere in there. You lose track after a while.
Okay, cool. And so it's just been sunshine and rainbows since day one.
Oh, I wish.
Okay. So what's kind of been the career trajectory, the career path? Like, would have been some lessons learned along the way, or any challenges?
Oh gosh.
I mean, the industry itself has thrown several of those.
Oh, geez. Isn't that the truth, especially in the last 12 months?
Yeah.
I don't know if I know. I mean, I feel like every day, it's like when everyone, you go to school and you do your classes and stuff. And it's like, I don't remember any of that. None of it is relevant to me. None of it is relevant. I don't remember anything. I think the only thing I remember is how many square feet are in Anchorage. That I'm like, I think I remember the number. I know it's in the thousands, but like, it's the everyday that like it's different person to person from one client to the next, whether it's a seller, whether it's a buyer. There's emotional aspects. It's just like it's a constant up and down. And I don't know that there's really ever been two deals that are like the other. It's always a new experience. It's different people, different reasons of buying and selling. It's whether it's a death or a divorce or whatever it may be, but you're juggling a lot of emotions all the time. And I don't know that that's really hard to answer.
I would say that for me, the biggest learning curve was trying to figure out some sort of balance in this business. And to a certain degree, there is no balance. You know what I mean? There's always going to be, you can set hours, you can do everything else, but at the end of the day, every situation is a little bit different. But I would just say my old business partner was amazing at teaching me very early on, listen, don't be a 24/7 agent, set hours and try to respect those when you go on vacations, try to turn off.
We say that, but then we still end up working on vacation. We still end up working at 10 o'clock at night.
But within reason at the exact same time, I'm very good at telling my clients whenever I leave town, what I'm doing and kind of try to set those expectations, hook them up with somebody else in the office. But just hours of operation, I think once you tell somebody, hey, I cut off at 7 p.m. every single night, I also tell them, if it's an emergency, I want you to call, I want you to text me, say emergency, and you'll get a call that night. So, but what I've learned about real estate is there's really not too many real estate emergencies.
I can't wait till the next day.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because people will text me and it'll be 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night. Hey, I know you're checked out for the night, but just respond tomorrow. Yep. So most people recognize it. Don't get me wrong. It's not a one size fits all by any means. But for the most part, you get a pretty good response from that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just comes down to setting expectations, right? With clients and things like that from the jump.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I always say, I think every agent should keep a diary of just all the crazy experiences, situations we find ourselves in.
Pages, honestly.
Because not every deal is different.
Yeah.
Right? There's no two deals that are the exact same. Right. No matter if you think it's just going to be this is the easiest client, it's this should live to be no issues.
This is going to be smooth and shit hits the feet.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
I am burned myself saying, this is going to be so easy. No, it's not.
Yeah. It's never. And there's always something, isn't there?
It's all the easy ones.
Yeah. There's always something. And usually the client doesn't even know that there is something going on because you've already handled it.
Put it up. Yep.
There's always something.
I know. I always tell him I never want to call him until I absolutely have to. I'm going to put out the fire before. And he's over here biting his nails. He's you should tell him. I was no, I'm not telling him. Oh, it's it's fine. I'm not telling him.
Figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. There's no need to stress them out. They're already stressed out enough. It's fine.
Really big on bringing a solution versus a problem with somebody if you can. Don't get me wrong. There's sometimes you got to get them involved up front, but you can put the fire out before it gets to them. It's always the best case scenario.
I know. We have, on all the years, we've never done a deal together, and we just keep praying that one of our clients, our buyers, are going after the same home, and then we can really duke it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just praying for a client to be in the same area, same price point, so we can just see who's better.
Yeah, absolutely. Figure out whose negotiation skills, trio. So I can tell you that if it comes down to a letter,
it's me.
She's very good at helping her clients out with letters. And pulling at heartstrings and just really advising them very well on that. So if it comes down to a letter, I'm SOL.
You were.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Let's talk a little bit about social media. I think that's something that a lot of agents are wanting to implement. They don't know the first step. They don't know what to post, how to post, when to post, what the captions should be, what hashtags to use, what platforms to use. Should I have a business page? Should I not have a business page? What's your kind of social media strategy? How do you put yourself out there on social media? I love your reels. Your reels are awesome, by the way. They're so funny. She's amazing.
His are so funny. His are getting he's coming out of his shell a bit more. He hates social media. Yeah. See, I'll really hear it. Here's the reality. If it weren't for my job, I would genuinely get rid of social media. It is very, very helpful for our careers, and it's just a way to put yourself out there. And yes, putting out the content is fun, but it is very time consuming. For the longest time, I was doing it on my own until we hired Alyssa, who has been amazing. She puts all the content together. She meets up with us once a month, and she helps us shoot everything. And we have a good time doing that. And and here's the reality, I just post when I want to post. If I feel like posting something, I will. If I feel like sharing, I just try to be as authentic and genuine as possible. I don't like to overdo it. I don't, if it's, I don't know, I just try to have fun with it, because if I'm not having fun with it, it just becomes misery, So it's like I share my kids, I share us, I share vacations and food and outfits. And, I feel like most of my audience is women my age and girls that I know. And that's my biggest following, especially on Instagram. And so it's just I just have fun with it. I don't overthink it, whether it's meals or just anything. It's not always real estate related, because I feel like that can get kind of overwhelming for some people. Okay, it's constant, but it's when you mix in fun and family, it's just more authentic that way, in my opinion. But it's I just post when I want to post, because then it just feels like a second job, and it's exhausting. It's okay, what do I post today? Or I don't know, maybe I'm not doing it right. I don't know.
I love to hear you say that, because I think my biggest piece of advice to people is don't overthink it. People are going to watch whatever. They probably won't even see what you post, to be honest. And then if they do see it, they're not going to think twice about, they messed up their word on that.
Yeah.
They're not going to think about that.
You share golf stuff all the time. You obviously love golf, and that's that's your thing. Yeah. And I love watching you guys go out and play, and your kiddo, obviously she's darling. Yeah. I love seeing her. Any babies, I'm here for it. I'm here for babies, or dogs. So that content's always fun.
I'm definitely not the person to shadow in regards to social media, because I literally only post business stuff, such as reels and just informative information.
I can do it.
Yeah, right. So I really need to get more into it as far as sharing more of my personal life and personal side of things. Shout out to Alyssa Anderson, local Buzz Media, I think.
Yes.
She's amazing. She's phenomenal. She's been with me really since day one of the social media kind of advertising, stuff like that. So yeah.
Having someone to do the content for you really does take a big burden off of your shoulders, because I would spend hours a week just trying to figure out, and I'm this isn't where my attention should be. It should be on clients and creating business and all that. And so Alyssa's been a godsend. I mean, she sends up once a month. She's like, here's your content for this month. Go over it. And I'm like, okay, I'll see you on, whatever day. Yep. And I'll just shoot with her. And it's just easy that way. But I guess I also understand that Audible can't, they don't have the means to do that, especially if you're first starting off to hire a content creator. I understand that too. So it's, just being yourself. That's my biggest piece of advice for social media, is just be yourself. I don't really that, like you said,
So being authentic, being your genuine self, right? Because there's thousands of agents out there, and no one's right. You are different, and I think who you are is who you attract, right? Yeah. I think I say that all the time.
100%.
You're going to find your tribe, right?
Yeah.
People that know, like, and trust you. What do you think have been some of the keys to the success that each of you have had so far?
Surrounding myself with the right people. Honestly, I would say Keller Williams in general was a huge launching pad for me. Just the courses they offer, just the people that leadership that was around at that point in time whenever I joined in, and obviously now as well, they're doing a good job keeping that going. But I would just say the people I surrounded myself with, if I wouldn't have had, my business partner at the time, as well as a few people in leadership, I would not be where I'm at today. No questions asked. So that's the biggest takeaway for me still to this day.
Yeah, honestly, anytime anybody ever calls me, and I, get a lot of phone calls of, hey, I want, I'm an agent. I can't tell you how many times I've go to Keller Williams. Or onboarding is amazing.
Absolutely.
That isn't, because there's so many people. Getting your license is not the problem. It's it's the send off. It's it's the preparing. It's the boarding. Call in that. One coming next. Yeah. It's not. People just think it's so easy. I'll get my license and business will start pouring in. I wish that was the case. But that is a huge. I mimic that 1,000,000%. But I also think just again is you just have to show that you're actually caring for your clients. Luckily, knock on wood, me being almost 10 years in business, all of my clients are referral based. I've never had to buy a lead. And that's just because I genuinely just care so much about my clients. And it's that just kind of shows. And again, if you're just being your authentic self and you show that you care, business will come. But definitely, starting off, with the right foot with Keller Williams was, that was, big deal. So,
piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, you're both passionate about real estate investing as well.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about the real estate investing journey and kind of any goals you have as far as, building
Yeah, absolutely. So the goals are forever changing, as I'm sure it's very common for just about anything. But at this point in time, I would say 200 homes in the next 10 years, or doors, however you want to say that, is the end goal. Similar to my launching pad in real estate, uh, Adam Draghi was a huge part of my success in that. Would not be where I'm at today without him. So he's taught me everything that I know in the investment space. I can tell you that just because you're a real estate agent and you've done 200 some odd deals does not mean that you can immediately go from a residential retail buyer and seller agent into the investment space.
It's a whole different ball game that I genuinely knew nothing about. I mean, the things that Adam has just, I mean, he's just been a godsend, honestly, just helping Dalton and like us, create our investment portfolio. But he has truly just taken him under his wing and shown him everything. And like half the stuff I didn't even knew about. I would have never thought to do when it comes to investments. So that was.
Yeah, absolutely. So
he knows more about that than I do.
No, I mean, you said
just like, let me know when you find a house.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of touring. Right now, the stats are, you tour 20 doors to find one opportunity, essentially. So it's a lot of spinning your wheels, a lot of running numbers just to find out what you already thought you knew whenever you first opened the door of the property is that it's not going to work. So I was talking to somebody a couple of days ago, and I think in my whole entire career in 6 years, 6.5, 7 years, whatever it is, I maybe have had 10 to 12 mutual releases up until December of last year. And in the last 6 months, I've had around 22 mutual releases. And most of those are on the investment side. So I feel like I've come a long way even in the last 3 months, but it's just really learning about how to analyze properties correctly, to try to get an offer accepted. So
yeah, I want to go back to something that you just said. You tour 20 properties to find one opportunity.
Yes.
And that's an opportunity that might not even like, you know what I mean? It was like just good enough to write an offer on. You know what I mean? Like, and are you going to get it? Yeah. Or is it going to work after inspections? Yeah. It's a lot of work.
I want to camp out there for just a second. Yeah, I think there's agents probably watching this that they want the overnight success or they want to become a real estate investor.
Sure.
Right? But it comes down to doing the work, right? It's a lot of work.
Yes.
It's a lot of time.
Yes.
It's a lot of hours. That's a lot of reps to know when an opportunity is good or not.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Whether it's worth the investment. And so just hearing you say that as like somebody that knows their stuff, like you're doing the work, and I think more people need to hear that.
Yeah. It's not a walk in the park by any means, but it's definitely worth the time and investment that you put into it. So, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So let's talk about the market.
Oh,
so changes in the industry, changes in the market. Like I coach and consult with agents on a regular basis, and the successful agents, like the two of you, I think failure is not an option, right? Because you both do the work, right? And you're willing to do whatever it takes to win. And so it's fun to watch agents like you two succeed because I know the work that you put in, right? And I'm willing to bet there's not a whole lot of excuses being made for the market or the lack of inventory or the interest rates or XYZ, right? There's always something.
Yeah.
Always something.
Always something about why you shouldn't be successful. Right. But the agents that make it, I think they say, I have a plan and we're going to execute it. And if we need to adjust along the way, that's fine.
Yes.
But talk to me about kind of like just the mindset of successful agents like yourself and like how you overcome those obstacles in the market, in the industry, and what that looks like.
Can I lead on that one?
Yeah.
So I would say that let's rewind to day one of COVID, when COVID first hit the U.S. That's really whenever I remember the market getting stupid hot, right? I mean, it was hot before that. People don't really talk about that. It was a seller's market even before COVID.
It's gonna sweat and just thinking about it.
Oh, geez, you and me both. Yeah, you and me both. But the market was hot before. It got really hot afterwards, as everybody knows. So you literally met with a buyer and do a consultation, and then 30 days, they're usually under contract. You know what I mean? Because everybody was motivated because of interest rates. Well,
oh my gosh,
things have slowed down, obviously, as everybody's seen. So one thing I've noticed is I never really had to go into people's searches after I set them up because they were like, I want to see this one, I want to see this one, I want to see this one. No, I'm having to be way more proactive than what I was originally. We're going back 3-4 years ago. and like, hey, do you want to see this one? What do you think about this? Really, starting to go back to sending them properties, because if they're not motivated, you got to do something to get their wheels turning.
Right.
So just really being proactive on that side, because we're attached to Complete Realty Solutions. There's some opportunities that come that way as well that I can propose to people. So it's really just about digging really deep in your toolbox and figure out how you can go a little bit a step above than maybe what the average agent might do that hasn't been through such a hot market.
So right now I'm a lot more buyer heavy than I am listing heavy at like this very moment. And I mean, I've had some buyers right now. We've been looking for, 6 months, if not longer. Not that we're not writing, but we're definitely getting beat out from time to time. I would say my clients on average are writing, 2 to 3 offers before something sticks. Sometimes we get on the first one. It really just depends on how aggressive we are. But, we all know inventory is so low right now. So we're looking at off-market properties. We're looking at expireds. We're looking at, I hate to say it even for sale by owners, but I personally don't look for them, but if somebody finds one, then I'll tackle it. Not my favorite, but we'll deal with it. We've even gone as far as like writing letters to neighborhoods like, hey, I have clients that are in this neighborhood. That hasn't panned out yet, but we're literally trying anything and everything to find houses. I know every client's different. They have specific criteria, specific budgets. It's just such a tough market right now, especially for buyers, because there's just not enough inventory. So we just genuinely have to be, like he said, proactive and just do whatever you can to find something that's, my clients are even talking to like random people, like, because we're just desperate. Like, hey, like my friend mentioned this person's a dumpster in front of their house. Can we make a call? We'll find their phone number. We'll contact them, and oh no, they're just demoing or remodeling or whatever. That's fine. But at least yeah, like whatever. I mean, we're trying anything and everything to find these homes. It's tough for buyers. I mean,
It's funny you mentioned the dumpsters. So my wife and I, we go on like walks around it all the time, right? And anytime we see like a dumpster, or what are the other telltale signs? Like people like sprucing up their landscape, like overgrown grass.
Yeah. Right. There's no what's about to come on the market.
Yeah, there were like 3 houses, and they all had like tall grass, and I'm like, we might need to look this up, right? Yeah. Give these people a call. Like, are you moving? Like, what's going on? Yeah. So,
but I do think now that we can, with different brokerages, we can share withholds, which is a huge bonus.
Absolutely.
That's...
Wait, is that actually a thing? I hadn't heard that yet. Is that a thing? You might know better than me.
That's what I heard, right? Like I can,
that's amazing.
Share withholds with other brokerage. So I'm like, now that I know this, I'm like calling, really good, agents that I know that I'm really close with, like, hey, I need a house in Lindbergh.
That's the piece. I got to get out of here and end this interview.
Yeah. Like, what?
Yeah. Well, I'm just thinking about Keller Williams. Honestly, I know a lot of really good agents there.
I was mad that this morning. I was like, I can go call Cat Johnson.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
It's the one thing about EXP is and they're great. I think every brokerage has good things about them, but you're not in the office. You're not with people, so you don't really meet any agents unless you do a deal with them. So just being very intertwined with still a lot of Keller Williams agents that's out. So.
And I've said that from day one, right? I mean, obviously, I'm in a leadership role now where my job is to attract agents. Systems of the models that KW offers. And, obviously, I believe in it. Like, it works, right? Yeah. But at the same time, I've always said, like, there's great agents, there's great brokerages, and there's great agents at every brokerage, right? Yeah, so the more we can collaborate as opposed to compete based off the color of our signs, the better the industry to win anybody as a whole, right? Yeah. So, and that's part of the reason why I started this podcast, right? Is to have agents on brokerages and give them the opportunity to highlight and showcase their business and what makes them special and unique. And it's the whole reason behind this.
Absolutely.
I love that you do that.
Showcase that. So, do I want to be in business with great agents? Absolutely. Yeah. At Keller Williams? Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. But that doesn't mean I can't still support you.
Yeah.
Cheer you on wherever you are
from afar.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we love that.
Okay, so looking at the businesses that you built, what are you most proud of?
I think I would say I'm sure a lot of other agents will say the exact same thing, but I genuinely feel like I build lasting relationships with the people that I've helped. They always know that when the transaction ends, it doesn't mean that I'm going anywhere. I'm very accessible. My accessibility does not change from the moment they step out of the title company from closing on the house 5 years down the road. Like I'm always there. I always tell people I want to be a life resource for you. I have a lot of connections, so utilize me for that. So just the level of service that I hope my clients feel like they get, and all the things in between.
So for me, I think I would have to say, because of my job, obviously, because of, the career that I'm in, I've been able to create such a big platform within my community, and that's the Bosnian community. And I've been able to give back to, like, not just like the Bosnian community, but just like, communities in general. So, a couple of years ago, I did I don't know what we called it, but anyways, we raised money for,
Oh my gosh.
for Melville School District.
Yes.
And yeah, we made $15,000 in a matter of 3 or 4 days. And I genuinely don't think I would have been able to do that if it weren't for the platform that I built over the past almost 10 years, and like the community of people that I built and people that have gotten to know me through this business, that know I'm not just going to collect money and pocket it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm here to like help. And that was the most random thing I've ever done. And I genuinely didn't think it was going to go anywhere. My plan was not to make it last 4 or 5 days. It was just, hey, let's collect a few $100s. And then it turned into $15,000, which blew my mind. It was like overnight. So for me, being able to do that and give back to like our community, and I do a lot, I would say, I don't know, 85% of my business, 80% of my business is St. Louis County. So to be able to give back to St. Louis County and like the school that I went to, like I went to Melville. So doing that was probably one of the coolest things I've done. And just to be able to, include people that like I've worked with, like reach out to them, and it's like they can give back. And it was a really cool experience. It was by far one of my favorites. And I don't think I would have been able to do that without being like where I am, or it wouldn't have been as impactful, I guess.
It was one of the coolest things I've ever seen another agent do in my entire career. Like, it was amazing. I
remember watching it from afar.
Yeah.
It was incredible. It was incredible to watch.
Yeah.
Sure.
It was very like overwhelming in a good way. It was just very like heartwarming, and just to like take them that check and like clear out their entire like balance. Like, here you go. Yeah. Like, it was so just cool. Very cool to do that. Yeah.
Who would have known that schools even have that much debt on lunch accounts for kids in elementary school? Like,
now, mind you, there was like a ton of parents that just, that have the means to do it. They just like forgot to, like my kid right now has like negative $60. And I'm like, what are you buying at lunch? You know what I mean? Like Connor in kindergarten.
Double ice cream.
Like
double entree.
PB and J's. I'm like, okay, we're not doing this anymore. So they said, there's a lot of parents who are more than capable of paying. They just have, so like they're going to allocate that money to families that like actually need it, and then obviously pay down the debt. Which I'm like, however you do it, it's, it was a really cool experience. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So we're in a commission only industry, right?
Don't remind me.
I think some people on the outside looking in, psychological warfare that we go through on a daily basis, right?
I don't know what you're talking about.
There's so many things that can happen.
Psychological warfare.
Now, I mean, a lot of times it takes a long time to even get the client, and then once you get the client, then the timeline
3 to 6
happens,
months,
right?
Yeah.
Then you have under contract, and there's a litany of issues that could happen between that and closing, right? So every day that you wake up as a real estate agent, you're waking up with no guarantees.
No.
Business. Talk to me about like just like being in this industry, the challenges, the mindset. If something does go south, like how do you pick yourself back up on those tough days? Because we all have them. It's a roller coaster of emotions, right? And I think a lot of agents watching this have probably been there, right?
Oh, gosh.
And we all probably handle those situations a little bit differently. So like over the years, like how have you grown to just embrace that struggle of being in the industry?
Do you want to go ahead?
No, go ahead.
My pity parties have been cut down dramatically. The years last probably a day or definitely right there. Something blows up. So definitely minimizing those as the years go on. But I think it's honestly just knowing that like when things get bad, they can only get better, right? And it's just about digging back in. I don't like the idea of ever having to file for bankruptcy or something along those lines. So that's not an option for me. So I will always push through whatever hard times come to come out the other end. So I don't know if there's any one thing necessarily. You just have to pick up your phone and start dialing.
I think it helps also, like him and I mean, it's like it's a good thing and a bad thing. Like we're both in the same career, right? Under one household. Like if the market tanks, him and I are kind of screwed.
Yeah. There's no safety net for either of
We
them.
got to figure this out.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? But it's, so like when he had him, no shade on McDonald's. So if he's having like a rough month, or if I'm having a rough month, or, deals are going chaotic, you're like, is this going to work? Is it not going to work? We genuinely do lean into each other. And, like having somebody there all the time to like lean into, and like not just like for the pits of it. I mean, for even when we're having like need help, or like assistance, like, hey, I'm up against this deal with 6 other offers. Like him and I can like, we're literally like sitting in bed at like 10 o'clock at night, like, bouncing ideas off each other.
What about this?
So yeah, like helping each other out in that aspect, I mean, is a blessing. But don't get me wrong, like us being in the same field, it's also very scary, So it's like just maintaining, like keeping up with your pipeline, just keep filling it and just keep adding more people, because it's like no deal is guaranteed until it genuinely closes, and you make that make money. But
I think we've both been in a situation like the last month where it's like the day of closing and like a firework goes off. Like, and it's like, to her point, a deal is not closed until everybody's walking out of the title company with smiles on their faces.
But I've also, over the past, almost 10 years, I've genuinely learned to just control what I can control.
Yes.
And there's millions of things in this business that you cannot control. It's completely out of your control. And like you freaking yourself out about something you can't fix it's almost like it's irrelevant. I know it's hard. It's easier said than done. It's like, oh, just don't worry about it. It's fine. Like it eats you alive. Sometimes I get so stressed out that I genuinely get a cold sore just from like the stress of things, and it's happened a handful of times over really, really big issues. But I have to like keep reminding myself, okay, I can only do what I can do, and I can only control what I can control, and I just have to take it a day at a time. And it's very easy to just spiral in this business. Very easy.
That's a huge blessing, though, to have each other to lean on in those times, right?
Yeah.
I think the really cool thing about real estate is that everybody loves talking about it, right? It's not a hard conversation starter.
Yeah.
We're curious about interest rates and what the market's doing, and
Where's the market?
how inventory is and all the things, right? But the challenging part is that people make a move every 7 to 10 years,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah.
And you're not, it's not like it's a residual income. You're only as good as your last deal. So you have to continue to fill the pipeline, and every year it starts all over, right?
Yeah.
So it's obviously once you built the business where you can generate systems and you get the maths, right? So if you know you want to make a certain dollar amount, you can reverse engineer that to the number of conversations you need to have and appointments you need to set and everything like that. But at the same time, you gotta do the work.
Oh, it's very easy to get discouraged and, almost like want to give up. I mean, we know, just based on the facts of how many people get into this business yearly, and then how many of them
fall off,
step out.
Yeah.
So,
sad to see. It takes a special breed of person to do this business, because it's essentially like you make yourself a punching bag and just beat the crap out of yourself every single day. Until you can't take any more, and then you hang it up to the diets.
I know.
It's the truth.
Sounds so great.
Like, what's going real? It's so weird. It's scary. Scare people away.
Yeah, exactly right.
No, I think when people call me, I tell them the worst of the worst. Like, do you still want to do that? Like, yeah. I'm like, well, let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're not scared, then maybe you are cut out for this.
Right. It's awesome.
Oh, goodness.
Awesome. Okay, so what questions haven't I asked that I should have at this point?
Let's see.
Let's talk about leverage. I think that's something as you grow your business, that's a piece that a lot of highly successful agents either struggle with. They want to put their Superman cape on and wear all the hats, do all the things.
That's right.
Are there any pieces of leverage, or is there any area of your business that you feel like you could implement more leverage at this point?
I'll let you take that one.
I don't know. I mean, now that like our boys are getting older, obviously they're involved in a lot more, sports and activities and things. It's like, I want to be there for that. But, my clients, sometimes don't get off work till 4 or 5 o'clock, and then I have to go do showings. It's like, yes, I wish I could, leverage a showing. Not that I can't, like I could, I constantly look into it, but it's like, then I have this guilt of like not being there. And it's like, I want to be there with them, and I want to walk these properties with them. And, I think I struggle with like letting go. just in life general. Like, I just feel like I need to do it, not because I think I'm better, but just because like my clients have put so much like trust into me to go and be with them or do these things. And it's like, okay, well, if I hire this person or that person, don't get me wrong. Like, I think for the first 5 years of my business, I was doing all the back end stuff myself as well. Like the TC stuff, that was all me. And once I hired, a TC, that was like a weight off my shoulders, right? So I'm like, now I keep like taking baby steps.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, could I get a showing assistant? Would that be beneficial? It's like, I don't want to miss Connor's baseball games. I don't want to miss their like school events and their plays and stuff. And I knew like being a mom, like I wanted to be as involved as I possibly could. And obviously, with our business, weekends are very tough because, but then obviously that you have to, set schedules and, set boundaries and things like that, which I am still, even after 10 years, trying to figure that out. I'm not kidding. It's hard.
It is.
Like, setting boundaries and, saying, no, I'm only going to work from 9 to 12 on a Saturday. Well, no, it hardly ever happens. But, but it's like I do find joy in my job, but I also don't want it to take away from my family and like our time and like our time with the kids and stuff like that. So I think for me, it's still, even after all this time, it's a struggle, like finding like certain leverages that'll work for me. So it's like baby steps.
Work in progress.
I think for me, I look at leverage a little bit differently than the traditional sense of the word. Yes, leverage-wise, I've leveraged showing assistants a lot, especially when I was more focused on the retail side. I have no problems passing my showings off to showing assistants because I make sure my clients are very well aware, like, hey, when it's time to write an offer, like I'm here, I'm going to be the one assisting you.
Right.
I'll be the one negotiating for you. Most people are very open to that and receive that very well. But in other ways, as a listing coordinator, Dee McMillian's our listing coordinator. She does a fabulous job. So it takes a lot off my plate, just inputting all that, because that's not an easy process, especially with all the changes they did recently.
I know. I'm still doing like
not a fan.
The MLS like listings. I'm like, wait, original price. So is this a sales?
Yeah, that makes no sense. It's very odd.
Like 0 sense.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
Price original. I don't know. It doesn't say closed. Like it doesn't say closed. It says
current.
Does it say
I think current.
Current price. Yeah, it says current price, and I'm like, well, why don't you say closed?
Yeah.
No, some of the changes they made are very weird, but
very wonky. So, listing coordinator, obviously transaction coordinator. I cannot imagine being my own transaction coordinator. Do you do your own TC? Yeah, absolutely not.
No.
So that's leverage in one sense, but leverage probably isn't the right word for what I'm about to say next. But noticing what you need to be a part of during the transaction once they do go under contract and what you don't need to be there for. I've talked to agents and looked at this at all different angles, and no hard feelings if you attend the things I'm about to say. But I don't attend inspections. Stay out of the way. Let the inspector have that moment with the buyer. That way my clients don't feel like I'm like, oh, it's not a big deal, or don't be concerned about like that. No, and that's great. I don't think there's a one size fits all, and it is
I just kind of pop in like towards the end. I'm like, how are we doing?
I like
See, I don't know. Like to me, because like when I'm not there and clients don't see my facial expression, they just hear stuff from the inspector and then they're so overwhelmed. And so I feel like when I'm genuinely there, it's more of a calming presence, like, oh, okay, like let's, it can be fixed or whatever. You know what I mean? It's almost like I'm like one of those like blankets that you
Songing presence.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Everything will be okay.
I'm your therapist.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what we are.
Yeah.
Something
But no, I totally get what you're saying. I know a lot of people don't go, a lot of agents don't go to inspection or closings or whatever it may be.
I used to attend. No, you're fine. That's what this is all about. Closings, I used to attend every single one for the first 4 years. And I was sitting at one day and I got really awkward. I'm like, why do I feel awkward? It's like, oh, because I have nothing to do here. So I'm like, you know what? We'll get a picture at the final walkthrough. And we'll kind of say our goodbyes there. And no, I'm still accessible if you need me moving forward. So I don't attend those two things. And honestly, I mean, a building inspection is an hour and a half to 2 hours. A closing is 30 to 45 minutes, depending on who's signing. So, I mean, that right there saves you 2 hours and 15 minutes right out of the process. And time driving there, time driving home. So, I mean, you're probably 4 hours all in, you know what I mean, just in those two things. So that's a little bit of leverage in my opinion as well. Just trying to decide what you're going to be a part of and how you're going to be most impactful throughout the process.
Love it. Okay. A last question. So we wrap up every episode the same way. What's been the most impactful book or podcast that has played an instrumental part in your personal development or business development over the years?
Yeah, I would say Make Your Bed. I really love that book. I've watched a lot of podcasts he's been a part of actually as well. Just really love everything the guy stands for. I think it's all about how you start your day off and starting it off on the right foot. And if I'm laughing because I don't think my bed's made right now, so I should probably.
It's not. Room's a mess right now. We've had a long.
It's good. Yeah,
Great.
absolutely.
We usually do make the bed.
Yeah, but definitely one of my favorite books.
Awesome.
Mine is not real estate related, but recently I was on a podcast with Pat and Zach Vegas, and us all being parents, we read the book Good Inside by Dr. Becky, and I read and reread so much of that book. And it was just so insightful because obviously, we have a 5 and a 6-year-old, and they're just ever changing and getting bigger, and their attitudes and their emotions and all kinds of things. So reading that book just really opened up my eyes a lot, just to get to, the psychology of like children and their minds and stuff. And because I just genuinely want to be the absolute best parent I possibly can for our boys. And so that book was very insightful and probably one of my favorites that I've ever read. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What do you do for lead generation? I'm very
For
curious.
lead generation?
Yeah. What's your target?
Now or whenever?
Now.
Always
Well, I guess now and then.
Yeah, now and then.
now and then. Okay. So when I first got into business, I had a phenomenal mentor, Adam Oskell. So I joined his pretty much right out of the gate.
Amazing guy.
And he is like somebody that's totally bought in with systems and models. And like whenever he told me to do something, I was like, yep, I'll do it.
Yep.
Right. Because he had built a wildly successful business. And so I was just a sponge from him. And he's like, we have this thing called DTD2.
Yep.
Okay. And so you split the alphabet in 2-letter pairings, and you tag your entire database with their last name based off the letters. And 1 week you've got a 2-letter pairing. The next week you got a new 2-letter pairing. And by the end of each quarter, if you reach out to those people each week, then you've hit everyone in your database.
Yep.
So DTD2, big proponent of that, big proponent of events.
Yep.
So trying to hold, 2 events. And I think agents overcomplicate events. A lot of times it's not even about the event. It's about the outreach around the event.
Yeah.
So you could easily tap into things that are already happening, and it costs you $0.
Yep.
Right. A concert in the park. How many free concerts in the park? Every week in St. Louis.
Yep.
Right.
Especially during
Food truck Friday in Tower Grove. Like find something that's already happening that people are already interested in going to. Don't make it more complicated than it needs to be. Invite your database to come hang out with you while you're there. And
can I add one thing to that?
Yeah.
And I'm sure you were probably about to go there because you're a smart guy and you leverage a lot too, but also just leveraging the companies that you send business to. They're happy to give back to you. We just held one 2 weeks ago at Patios in the city.
yes.
Cardinals is away game. We had the whole building to ourselves for us and the company we work with. And it was a wildly successful event. And I don't think we really came out of pocket for much at all at the end of the day.
Home inspectors, title partners, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to think who else was a part of that.
Contract.
Lenders. Yeah, absolutely. So the list goes on and on. So not being afraid to reach out and ask the question, because if you don't ask, the answer is always no.
Yes. 100%.
I think you always don't know like how to meet new people. I always I did one a couple of years ago. It was at Paint and Twist in Webster Groves, and I had reached out to like 20 to 40 girls of past clients and just like really close girlfriends. I'm like, hey, it was like Galentine's, and we all brought wine and we painted pretty pictures and stuff. And I asked each girl, I'm like, hey, bring a friend that I have not met yet. That would be a great introduction, for me, and yada, yada. And they came, and it was like, they got to paint for free, and they brought like snacks, and we just had such a good like girls' night. It was just so fun and relaxed, and we just all had such a great time. But I met 20 new girls that night,
Yeah.
And same thing. It's like we reached out to vendors, and it was just a fun time. Like to me, it's like it wasn't even about. It was just like networking and having fun and just like girls' nights and just be,
It's not all business. That's
Absolutely.
being girls.
Yeah.
Girls.
I mean,
Girls' night.
yeah. Whenever I first got started, I kind of tried a little bit of everything. I think that's what you have to do whenever you're first getting started is like figure out where your strengths are and what you enjoy doing versus what you don't. And, obviously sometimes you got to push yourself outside your comfort zone.
Yes.
And, that's where a lot of growth happens. But at the same time, if you're always outside of that, then you're gonna end up hating your job. So you gotta figure out like what you want to do and kind of like what actually brings fruit from your lead generation and pick that and go all in. Like my first year in the business, I took 15 minutes a week, and I was like, I'm gonna try LinkedIn, right? So I would connect with people on LinkedIn each 15 minutes a week.
Yeah.
Time block, 15 minutes a week. And then I would fire off a DM like, hey, I'm a real estate agent in St. Louis. Would love to help you or anyone you know when the time is right.
Yeah.
Right. 15 minutes. Didn't get much from it, right? A year later, there was a person that reached out. She went to the same college as I did. And she's like, hey, I'm ready to buy. Would you be able to help? Right. We had the buyer consult that week. She's under contract the next weekend. We're closed in 30 days. I go back and I'm like, she didn't even reply to my LinkedIn message. She ghosted me, right? But she saw it, right? And I wouldn't have got that business if it wasn't just for that like small, consistent daily or weekly action that I did.
100%. I would say the exact same thing actually about social media. I get a lot of people that ask me, do you get any business from the videos you post? And it's never like somebody comments on the post, says, hey, I'm looking to buy or sell. Can you help me out? But they'll call me, they'll reach out, whether they're a friend of a friend, whatever the case may be. And like, somewhere in the middle of the conversation, I'm like, do you mind if I ask how you heard about me? And they're like, actually, I saw your video on social media. So it's not
that a lot.
Yeah, it's not instant, I guess is what I'm saying. So sometimes it's a delayed reaction from the things that you're doing. Consistency. Absolutely. That's where I was going with it. So, yeah, absolutely.
And I think just the more you do it, the easier it becomes, right? You find what works for you. And my whole thing, like my whole mission was like, how do I make lead generation fun? Right? How can I just tap into groups that I'm already involved in, things that I'm already doing, whether that's, church, working out, playing pickleball, playing basketball, like, and just become like the real estate expert in those groups, right?
100%.
And over time, those people know, like, and trust you. They know you're in real estate, and then boom, you got this, right? From
Goes back to
playing pickup basketball.
when I like that just for yourself and like I love that.
Yep. Perfectly said.
Yeah.
Find groups that you enjoy being a part of. Don't make it sitting at a desk 2 hours a day, because you will get burnt out on that. Not saying you can't start there, but it doesn't mean you have to end there.
And I hear everybody all the time say, well, I don't want to be salesy. I don't want to sound salesy. It's like, well, you are a sales professional. Right? And you're doing people every time I heard this from an agent in our office, top agent in our office. He said, every time that you choose not to call someone that you should, you're making it more about you than about them.
Yes.
Right. So the value you provide as an agent. Why should you let them hire someone else?
Yeah.
Right. And
So
it's like, that was just the light bulb moment for me. Right.
Yeah. They got hot.
Like, hey, I bring value. Like, I should have confidence in that.
Yes.
So, cool. Well, I can't thank you enough for your time. You are rock stars. You're crushing it. And I'll continue to root you on.
Oh,
Likewise. Same, man. I appreciate you having us on.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I hope you enjoyed the episode. We'll see you on the next one.